Peace, family. I'm so grateful for you being here today. We're going to have a great conversation. We're going to be speaking with Brenda of Moms Hustle Different today. And I'm so excited. Um, when I had my initial idea to create a podcast, it fell in my heart, but Brenda of Moms Hustle Different was one of the biggest inspirations to me for just like going forward with my own podcast idea. So I'm so grateful for her and her platform and what she has done. And if you don't know, Brenda is also, or used to be, one of my guests at the salon. And so we've connected for a while. And it's just really my honor to have a conversation with her, a confident conversation with her today. And for you all to just get inspired to be amongst the phenomenal woman that she is, and mom, and all the other things. So I'm going to go ahead and bring her on.
Hey, Brenda! Hi. I feel like you were about to make me cry before you start.
Listen, I knew I had to bring you on properly, and I'm so grateful for you, for everything that you've done, everything that you continue to do. And I feel like I know I don't say it enough. So thank you.
Thank you. I'm really excited to be here, and I'm grateful for you because you definitely are an inspiration to me and what you've been doing, and taking your platform from just being natural hair, from just being locks, to just expanding your platform and being brave enough to do so and trying things. So I'm really happy for you too.
Thank you so much. And for everyone that does not or is not familiar with you yet, can you please just give us a brief introduction?
Yes, so my name is Brenda Miller. I am a wife of a truck driver, and I am a mom of a 2-year-old son. So you can imagine what my life is like. I also am a website manager by day, and I am hosting a podcast called Moms Hustle Different that really focuses on having discussions about Black moms navigating work and motherhood. So I'm really excited to just continue um, pushing my podcast forward. So those are the things that I'm into right now. I also love wine, Christmas movies, but
Absolutely. You know, when you posted or you shared the hustle is real, but so is motherhood.
mm-hmm.
Post the other day, I reshared it, and so many people were commenting about that. That is just such a powerful statement, and it's even more powerful that you transformed that idea into a whole podcast. So what's the inspiration? What drove you to create the podcast?
So what really happened? So 2 years ago, a little over 2 years ago, I had my son, and I had him at the end of November, and then I went back to work that March. So while I was kind of feeling, I was like, man, I have to go back to work. What does that look like? And you're trying to adjust to the long nights. You're adjusting to not having your independence anymore in the same way, and having, especially when you're breastfeeding and you have like literally an infant on you almost 24/7, it could just get to be very crazy. And then it's like going back to work, like, what is work? Why am I doing this? What am I doing? What is my path in life? What will I give back to my son? Like just a whole bunch of thoughts go in my head, and it made me think of all the moms who have been working, especially in the last 50, 60 years or so, especially when it's more normalized for mothers to work and having two income households and stuff like that. Like, what does that look like? How are these people doing this? How are single moms, people with multiple kids, how, different ages, all these different things with varying types of jobs, whether it's entrepreneurs or people who have service-based business, product-based business, people who work 9 to 5 or people who work night shift. Like, how in the world do people do this? And I realized moms hustle different. It just always looks different for moms.
Yes.
We hustle better than anybody, or that we're having to burn ourselves out. But to me, it just means it's just a little bit different. Sometimes, you're working and you're on the computer and your kid is sitting on your lap. And that's just how you have to do it for that particular time. Or you're sitting in the playroom with your laptop because they just can't sit still. And you're just like, all right, I got to get what I need to get done, or some people have their kids with them to work. There's so many different things that happen, and it's like we can do this. It's just gonna look
You
a
are
little.
doing it.
Mm-hmm.
How are you doing it though? Like how has motherhood made you hustle different?
It made me think differently about my priorities. It made me think about like what was important. I think COVID definitely did that. I realized that I love being remote. I just love it. Even when my son is in daycare, like I have him in daycare now. And I still like being remote because I like being close to him. So if something were to happen, I could pick him up. I don't have to commute for an hour and some change, just to get to him. I think it shown me that I should try to do as much as I can that's in me to do, like whatever God um has called me to do. Like I need to do it because I feel like how can I show my son to follow his dreams and say like, hey, follow your dreams if I'm not even attempting to do it. So I think that's one of the things that it also showed me. It was just like, you can do this. You can host a podcast and, work full time. You can do that. Why can't you? And I think that that's been transformational for me in thinking about how I hustle different. And that's literally saying like, okay, sometimes when he goes to bed, I'm going to send out some emails, or I'm going to edit my podcast, or, try to see who wants to be on it, stuff.
Or host a clubhouse
Yeah,
or
host
something
Clubhouse,
else. Like
you
you
know,
have all the things.
platforms, like interacting with other moms, reading what other moms are doing, and really just trying to tap in and collaborate with other people. So I think that's kind of how I've tried to put forth hustling different in my own life and what I'm continuing to do. Now I'm in this season of striving to consistency because that's always been my challenge. So something about December 1st told me like, all right, Brenda, it's time to be consistent. Like no more excuses. Just do it. And
Listen, I can't even believe that we're at the end of December. Like I was just like, Kwanzaa's here next week. Christmas is here next week. Like next week. It was
yeah,
just December 1st.
exactly. It's
Yesterday.
time is flying. And that just shows us that like if we don't do the things that have been placed on our heart, then time's just gonna pass us by. Like it just is, and it's gonna go by really fast.
I remember when you were like in learning about the podcasting world, right? Like you had this idea and you're like, I'm gonna bring this out of me. Like what were the things that you did to help bring your idea for the podcast, for just a way to share the stories that you wanted to hear about and learn about? Like what were the things that you did to help yourself bring your idea forward?
I think first, I like a lot of my podcast guests in the beginning were people that I know and were people that I respected as moms. So it was really first having those kind of conversations, and thinking, making that list of the people that I wanted to have on the podcast in the beginning. Like who do I know that might actually say yes to me? And then creating something around it. So I mean, it was everything from I invested in Nicaila Matthews, Akome's Side Hustle Pro Academy, and that was a huge investment. but I did it because I was like, I want to have some of um, the best practices for podcasts because I want to do a good job and I want it to be good, and I don't know much about it besides the fact that I have a camera. So I invested in her program and kind of got around some other podcasters in that and seeing what other podcasters are doing with their platforms. How are they finding the people to do the art for their podcast, and what are they using to edit and all that type of stuff. So that kind of helped me a lot. And then using that list and reaching out to people and saying like, hey, I really want to know your story, and just trying to build a podcast around that. And that's been really good because I've had a lot of regular people on my podcast, and in different seasons of their life and in different seasons of motherhood. And that's what I wanted to do, and that's what I want to showcase, because I do know that a lot of times you see podcasts and it's like people who have, six-figure this, and, their Instagram feeds are completely like pink and blush and, like
Got
whatever.
all the presets, got all the things,
Yeah,
like all the
like
bells and whistles.
completely perfect. And a lot of times sometimes it can be hard to relate to for just the average mom. So I wanted to showcase a lot of different types of moms in different seasons. Like, okay, here's one who has two kids that are young. Here's somebody who has one kid that's a teenager. Here's somebody who has a split. I had a homeschool mom on there who does some contracting on the side. I had someone who was a homeschool mama and then decided to go back into the workforce. It's just, those are the type of stories that I want to share because I think that we all can receive something from it.
What's been like the biggest lesson or like the aha moment that you weren't expecting from one of your guests on your podcast?
That's hard.
Yeah, you've had so many people, I'm sure.
I know I think I counted, and so far, and I've taken breaks, and I've had at least 15 guests so far. And I think the biggest thing that continues to come up is just the self-care piece. And as much as it can, like, we all talk about it, but I appreciate that each guest kind of has their own idea of what that looks like. What does it mean to take care of yourself? And I learned a lot about the different ways, that we can, that it's not just spa days and, whatever else, but sometimes, like, I know you talked about the boundaries, having boundaries when you were on my podcast. That's a form of care. It's creating these boundaries,
Part of self-care.
time around your energy. And I think that a lot of people touched on that. A lot of people touched on speaking up for yourself, in your career and in motherhood. So I think those are kind of like some of the key takeaways. I don't know that they were necessarily like surprising, but they were definitely helpful, to have that continuous reminder. And I think we all can use that.
If anybody is here, thank you for joining, popping in. We're speaking with Brenda of Moms Hustle Different today. This conversation is about her journey and her life and her podcast, and just really giving people their flowers while they're still here, while they're in every season of the podcast or of their life, not even just the podcast. So definitely, while you're on here, if you have any questions about, motherhood, about locs, about podcasting, about what it is to just be a woman right now, definitely put those into the comments. And I just appreciate you stopping in and popping in and saying hello. Brenda, so, we've connected in the salon, right? What made you start your locs and your loc journey?
Okay, so here's the real deal.
You knew I was.
I was tired of, like, I wanted to be natural, and I was very happy to be natural, and it was great. I was like, I'm done with the perms, like, I'm over it. But that, I mean, all I was doing was put my hair in two strand twists because I was tired of the shrinkage. I was tired of having all the hair to clean up on the floor after I washed my hair and kind of like comb through it. I was just tired. And I was just like, you know what? Why not try this lock thing? Because I'm keeping it in the same style anyway. Like they're in two strand twists
It's
every
just
day.
like permanent twist.
Yeah, I'm like, they're just permanent twists, and I don't have to do them every day or every week. I don't have to take them out and just like twist them over. So, and then you were very knowledgeable about the whole process, so it kind of helped me feel more confident that I was doing it the right way. And I've been excited. I mean, I'm a little over 4 years in. So,
Have you? It's been 4 years?
yeah, we
It's
started
been 4 years? Oh my gosh.
I met Andre. So that's how I remember because I met my husband the same year. So I met him with a fro, and then like a couple months later, I popped it up.
Just like, this is me. You're welcome.
Like, so if you don't like this, then whatever. He loves him, so that was helpful.
So, have you ever had any regrets about starting locks or having locks? Since you had marriage, you had a child, you moved,
Yeah.
like
The only time really, sometimes I'm like, dang, should I start over with a postpartum edges? Like that killed me. That's hard. And that's why, I mean, I get my hair done on Friday, so that's why I had to put on these wraps. These edges look crazy under here. So I think that's the only thing is those postpartum edges, and you're just like, what am
how
I?
did you grow through it? Like what were the things that helped you stick through the postpartum shedding?
I think just knowing that I like it, I like the growth that I've had. So my hair, we started with two strand twists, and I mean, I guess my hair was maybe where my mouth is, like somewhere here, and now it's in the back. It's very close to bra strap length. Like the back portion here is like if I pull it.
What?
It's all the way down here. And I was like, you know what? This is the longest my hair has ever been, like in my whole entire life. So I think that really has helped me say, you know what, whatever, we'll work through it. We'll figure it out. We'll pull some hair up in that thing. Call it a day. So I think that's one of the things, like seeing the growth and seeing what's happening to it has been great for my hair and my journey. And I'm excited to see what else hair does, but I love it. It's easy.
I can attest to that. Nicole says, what is one of your favorite self-care practices?
Um, right now, at this very moment, one of my favorite self-care practices is hiring a babysitter. Like, that's probably the best thing ever. She's actually watching my son right now. And like that is like,
How did you find her? Like, you just moved down there. Like, how did you tell me
girl,
the secrets?
Facebook groups. Facebook groups. So they have Facebook groups for like every community and stuff like that. So they have a whole Facebook group for babysitters and caregivers to like swap between parents and caregivers. So parents can post and say like, hey, I'm looking for a babysitter, for my whatever kid, whatever age kid who can do XYZ. Then there's other people on the other end. The babysitters can say, hey, I'm so and so, and this is what I do, and this is my experience, and blah, blah, blah. And you could connect with them and you meet them, talk to them, see if you feel comfortable, and go from there. So that was one thing that was a priority for me because my husband is a truck driver and he is gone for long times of periods of times on the road. So I'm, here in a new town. I'm in Georgia by myself. So it's kind of like you need to have somebody, helping you out. So that was probably one of my best self-care things I've ever done.
When
Or
you messaged me about that, like, I'm about to get the babysitter, I'm like, a babysitter? What? That sounds amazing. How? That makes so much sense. And I'm gonna try that because yes, those breaks, even if you're just like right there, you know,
Yeah.
just that time that somebody is, because they need to be entertained, right? They need
Yeah.
interaction, but it's just like sometimes you just don't have it. So that's,
And
yes.
and that's the thing, like I'm in this whole mom's hustle different, mind frame where I'm trying to do a little bit of this. I have some expanded role at my job. So I'm trying to do a lot. And sometimes you need just a little extra help. So you have to do what's comfortable for you. I know we're still in the middle of a pandemic. So it just depends on how you feel and your level of comfort. But honestly, I'm telling you, even if it's once every couple of weeks or whatever else, so that you can do what you need to do. Even if you do have two parents in the house, like you can do date night, whatever it is, making things happen. So yeah,
And
that
I
was.
feel like we both at the same time just kind of like exhaled. And that's kind of like what somebody else, like kind of being observant of your child for a second is just, you just get to let it out. So that,
Mm-hmm.
yes, Jade says that's super smart and good for you.
Yes, thank you, because it's one of those things that we just have to do something to help ourselves and to help our peace of mind. And it doesn't always look like spa or nail appointments, whatever else. But if it does, then that's great too. But, just do something for yourself.
And now I heard you say that you're in an expanded role in your job. What is that
Yeah.
looking like for you right now?
So basically, like I was just managing our website redesign. So I was a project manager over
Yes.
the website redesign this year for our organization. So my role is kind of shifting right now, still figuring out exactly what it looks like, but I'm taking on, a lot of different things like search engine optimization for our website, maintaining it, continuing to evolve our website. So it's a lot of stuff at work, that I'm doing to try to get things in order. So I'm really excited.
Have you been able to take any of the skills or conversations you've had from your podcast or even in motherhood and like apply them to your 9 to 5?
I think the biggest thing for me is learning to speak up and to own um, my own knowledge and my ideas and to really say the ideas that I have. So if I think that, oh, this would really help, our organization, like we should really think about this, or what if we did this? Not keeping those things inside and just being like, nobody's gonna like my idea or whatever else, but pushing that out. So I've been able to do that recently and just saying like, what about this? Like, could this be an option for us? And it's like, oh yeah, great, Brenda, that's great. So I think that that's something that I've learned just from looking at other moms and seeing, the confidence. And I mean, I know this is a confident conversation, and seeing the confidence that a lot of people have, or at least are putting out there, and putting themselves out there. And I really respect that, because I think that motherhood just gives us a whole nother level of like, hey, I'm not just doing this for myself, but I'm doing this for generations to come. So,
For legacy, right?
a whole legacy.
Absolutely. So when you became a mom, when you were becoming a mother, what was your biggest fear? And do you still hold that fear?
My biggest fear was when I found out that I was having a son. I said, oh shoot, I'm having a black man. Like I'm about to raise a black man in America. That, and it's still a pretty big fear because things haven't gotten better in 2 years.
I remember crying
Um,
about that.
so that's probably the biggest fear that I had. And I mean, that literally, I think was one of my first thoughts besides when oh wow, we know. And then I was like, dang, I'm
It's
about to
heavy.
black man in America, and it's just a whole different ball game. So, I just take that and not trying to project my fears upon him, but really just hopefully show him all that he can be and pray that he can, live that out.
Absolutely. Has he taught you anything? I know he's only 2. He's 2, right?
Yeah, he's two.
What has
Um,
he taught you anything?
he's taught me just fearlessness sometimes. I think there's something about kids that, like, he walks up the steps and I'm just like,
Straight up.
I mean, like, he just started walking up the steps and I'm just like, yo, and he'll have something in his hand too, like have an iPad in one hand, a cup in the other steps, and I'm just like, dude, you're not scared to like fall backwards? You know, he'll do that, or he'll just he would go to, what is it called? We went to the playground, right?
Uh-huh.
And we were in like the little kids section and playing in that section. And he sees all the other kids over in the big kid playground. He's like, I want to go over there. So we walked over to the other side to the big kid playground. And he wanted to go up the big slide. Like, he didn't go the little slide. Like, he went up and around to the slide that spins around. Hey, and it's a month ago, a month and a half ago. And I was just like, yo, this is my kid. He's doing it. Like, he's not scared. The big kids are just running around, all this kind of stuff. He's not scared of them. He's not cowering. He's just minding his own business.
What did you do? Did you what happened?
I was looking at him and I was just like, what is he gonna do? Like, is he gonna be okay? But I let him do it because I see that sometimes you have to try, and I let him fall. I let him, you know, try different things and just hope that, you know, he learns from it.
That's
So,
real.
when he's younger. So that's something that he's taught me, is just how to be fearless in some places and just trying anyway, like not being scared. Like, oh, like he wasn't even thinking like this is the big, I mean, it was a tall slide and going like a little circle slide. So
that 2-year-old confidence is something else. Okay, it is something to reckon with for sure.
It really is.
Have you learned, or have your locs taught you any lessons in the 4 years?
I mean, I think patience, of course, is like the number one. I didn't feel like, I know people talk about the quote unquote ugly phase. I don't know that I felt an ugly phase per se, because I did start with 2-strand twists and I was already used to 2-strand twists. So it was kind of like, hey, I have 2-strand twists. But wondering like, okay, I see them getting a little bit more developed, but when are they going to grow? You know, and then next thing I know, I look up and I'm like, oh, shoot, I could do a real ponytail. So I think it's taught me patience, that everything will come in its own time, that what do they say? Good things are worth waiting for. So that's kind of how I felt with my locs and what they've taught me.
And then when you moved from Maryland to Georgia, because I feel like it was kind of like, you know what? I'm thinking about going to Georgia, and I'm gonna just go. Like, it low key, that's how I was. I'm just like, oh, okay. You know, I think some people talk about it. It's like, oh, you know, maybe I want to move to Georgia. But she was like, yeah, I just sold my house, and I'm moving to Georgia next month. So
it was crazy. I mean, literally, we have been looking at houses for a long time and just been like, oh, well, we're going to get this, we're going to get this, oh, we're going to move here, we're going to move here, and we're thinking we're going to stay in the Maryland area. But the prices of houses in Maryland and the types of houses that we wanted, it just wasn't going to work.
yeah.
So my husband was like, Brenda, we got to consider moving somewhere else. And I'm like, yeah, right. I don't want to move. I'm good where I am. And then we just started looking at the differences and we're like, you know what? That could be interesting. So he ended up booking a flight to Atlanta in the middle of COVID, getting a hotel. He met up with our real estate agent and just started looking at houses. And then he found this house and he was like, Brenda, I think this is the one. So he put the offer on the house while he was down there. We made a contingent offer that was like enough time for me to get down there to see the house. And if I didn't like it, then we could just cancel it. But I came down, we drove down the next week and looked at it. Like, okay, this works. And then like 3 or 4 weeks later, we were here.
Y'all was out. It was crazy.
So
that is a next level, just like confidence, faith, just everything. Like how did that feel? Like going through the sold my house, moving to Atlanta. Like how did that feel for you?
It was
In pandemic.
right. It was bittersweet, honestly, because our family is in Maryland. On both sides of our family are both in Maryland, and we had a decent, we had a good babysitter, we had support and help, and it was challenging because it's like, man, do I really want to leave my parents and my grandparents and my sisters-in-law and everybody else? And Arthur has cousins, but at the same time, I'm like, man, this could be an opportunity to start over and to try something new. And it was just a faith walk for our family as a whole. So we just did it, and it felt strange. And when we got here, it was like, oh shoot, what in the world? Like, we had this house, but we wanted everything we wanted. We got, I have a garage to put my car in. We have a backyard that Arthur can play in. We have a very nice neighborhood that's safe. They have good schools in the area. There's amenities, nearby.
Wow, check all the boxes.
Yeah, like we have Kroger, and it's 15 minutes to everything. Like, everything is less than 15 minutes away, and it's great. So it was, and I could work at home like indefinitely. So that was a huge factor too. Like, I don't have to go back to an office. So no more commuting for me. It was like all of those things, and it just worked out, and it really hit me. Our family, Andre's side of the family, came and visited us in July for 4th of July. And I was just like, man, y'all really coming to visit us 10 hours down the road. And that was, it was just nice to be able to host everybody and to be able to fit people in the house and have a good time. And that's what really mattered. And I think this will be a house that can really create a new thing for our family.
Yeah, getting that legacy, to having something different, having something that's your own without the influence of just all that you've ever known, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like it's just a dynamic thing to do. So I'm, again, forever inspired and amazed by you and just your confidence. I know you feel like sometimes like, what am I doing? What's happening? It's like, you're doing it. All the stories you're talking about and collecting, like, you are reflecting all of those. So
yes,
you are doing it. For those of you that may have just hopped on or joined us, we're speaking with Brenda of Moms Hustle Different. She is a wife, a mom, podcast host, has a 9-to-5, like, raising a Black man in America. Like, this is, she's doing a lot. And I just wanted to take some time to truly just highlight her journey and her experience. And if you guys have any questions, definitely feel free to put those in the comment section. Of course, Brenda has some beautiful locks as well that were started at New Grove Salon. So I might be a little bit biased.
yes.
So, Brenda, you've spoken about your podcast experience and what it's like being a mom. What is it like being a wife?
Being a wife is a roller coaster. And I say that because my husband, he is so different from me in some ways, but then still the same. So he is like the ambitious one. He is the go-getter. He is the motivational. He's that person that if he was your coach, he'd be sitting there like, come on, you could do it. Another one. Push up, 10 push-ups. Like, he'd be that person. Where I could be a lot more reserved. But at the same time, it's amazing because he's my number one cheerleader. So when something happens and he's like, man, I told you could do it. I told you could do it. Like, that's him all the way. So sometimes I'm like, man, if you don't stop, because he's more like, all right, I'm about to dive in, and I'm more like, hey, pipe down, like let's go a little slow here. Um, but it's a blessing because he's pushed me, I think, out of my shell some, and has given me encouragement and support when I need it. And even sometimes when I don't want to hear what he has to say, a lot of times it still hits close to home. It'll be like, Brenda, why aren't you doing this? Like, what happened? I'll be like, I don't know. Like, leave me alone. So I think it's always good to have somebody that's in your corner, um, supporting you, even if they're not your spouse. But in this case, like he is my husband, and being his wife right now is supporting him in his dreams too. So we're trying to find that balance, because he's on the road trying to take care of our family and trying to create a legacy for our family in that way. So I'm finding, trying to find more ways to support him as he's doing that. Um, even if it's just FaceTiming him every day, calling and checking on him, while he's driving. So that's been interesting and fun at the same time.
When he comes back home, do you pre-plan date nights, or how do you keep it like, okay, we're back together? And do you do anything particularly special?
I think it'll look more special. I think sometimes I just don't know. So the last time he came, like one of the times he came home, he surprised me, and I'm like, oh shoot, I grocery shop for myself. For shoot, like oh, I just have this amount. So I think the next time it'll really be all right, cool. Like let's do this. I can book a now. We have a babysitter. Like I can book a babysitter to watch our son and go do something. Hopefully, depends because Atlanta a little crazy. Um, but I think that's what it'll look like. Maybe cooking something that he likes versus something that I only like. Because sometimes he's like, man, how come you start cooking when I'm gone? And I'm like, man, because I be wanting to break.
Yeah, what if you don't like it? Well, I'm just trying something out.
I'm like,
You can accommodate for like, you know what, this don't taste good. I'm gonna just have some cereal or something. It's fine. But if somebody else has to do that, then might not as well.
Yes, I think I'll just be trying to find something that he likes to eat and, cooking for him. Especially because when you're on the road, you're having a lot of random stuff at truck stops and things like that. So, you don't really get shrimp when you're on the road. Like you don't get, real vegetables and stuff like that. So
you come home and get it gourmet.
yeah, actual.
Okay. I love to hear that. So, right now in the season that you're in with trying to like bring it back into the conversation,
Mm-hmm.
trying to be more intentional about your consistency,
Mm-hmm.
who or what inspires you the most right now?
Honestly, what's inspiring me now is a number of people. Like you've inspired me, like watching like what you're doing with going live and ask the your digital loctician, and just branding yourself in that way and being an expert in what you do. There's other mom bloggers that I'm really excited about. My homegirl Keeley and Crystal, we're doing a thing on Clubhouse tomorrow. So that's kind of like, oh wow, having some collaboration with other mom bloggers, and I've just been inspired by that. I'm on Clubhouse, which is for people who don't quite know yet, the audio platform that's kind of new right now, where people are having conversations in rooms that are just strictly audio. And that's been inspiring me because I love to talk, but sometimes I might not be camera ready. So it's great to be able to have conversations with people without having to get dressed and throw it together. So that really inspired me, and I've been trying to take it from a different range, because before I would see different people being consistent and different people's content and all that kind of stuff and be like, but they're doing this and they're doing that, and who am I? Like, I literally had, where I was like, who am I? Like, what am I giving to the world? And it was just a moment where I had to say, you know what? You have something to give, and just keep going at it until it's clear in your mind. Keep trying and keep doing it. So the consistency is coming from there. It's like, you know what? Just share your story. And as you share your story and share other people's story, like, your lane will become clear. So that's what I'm trusting in, and that's where I'm kind of bridging my consistency.
Absolutely. That is so real, and just the questioning of like your purpose and your lane and your what are you doing. I feel like that is also a byproduct of just the mentality that we have to always produce. You know, again, like we have these seasons where we deserve to rest and we deserve to reset, and acknowledging those is like honestly a revolutionary act, you know, in America specifically, like against the machine that tells you you need to be a machine, you need to be super consistent, you need to be all the things. Just like, you know what, maybe I could just rest right now and okay, you know.
Yeah, there's a balance there.
Balance, exactly. So what, or do you have like a habit right now that you've formed or that you're working to form that makes you a better you?
The biggest thing for me right now is myself and two of my coworkers. We're actually doing a Bible study together, and we're meeting every week. So the study has five days within the week. So I'm committing myself to 5 days in the morning. Like, I'm doing a Bible study, and then we're meeting every Monday to have a conversation about it. So that's been good for me, because it's been showing me a little bit of myself and how I can continue to just grow as a person and as an individual, and being in touch with my spiritual roots and how I feel that way. So that's been super huge for me, because where you are internally kind of shows you how you're going to show up externally. So regardless of what your spiritual practice is or whatever else, for me, I'm Christian. So I'm getting deeper into my Bible study so that I'm rooted in that, so that the good that comes out of me is purposeful, and that I have a little more direction in where I'm going. So that's where I'm trying to be consistent now, and hoping that it will permeate throughout all the areas of my life.
It will. It definitely will. And I love that you are having that habit of having the Bible study, and you have accountability partners too. Because also that's like flexing that consistency muscle that you're trying to build with having that. So, and it's showing up in your spiritual like practice. Like, yes.
Yeah, like, it's something, because sometimes you get into these dry seasons where you're just like, what is happening? And it's that you're not connected. And sometimes you have to add that connection piece in order to really understand what's going on in your mind and what's happening. So we've been doing that for a little bit. So I'm building that up.
That's great. Palmer's Travel says 21 days of consistency built becomes a habit.
Yep. That's what they say.
That's what they say.
It's one of those things where you just have to, and I think the biggest thing is to not choose things, especially in the beginning, that are going to be way too much pressure for you in your own season, that you don't have systems around, or that you don't have that you aren't productive behind. Like, if I tried what you did a couple months ago and I said, oh, I'm gonna do a video every day, that's not gonna work for me. You know how to do it. Like, if I tried to be consistent in that, like, that would not be like, that wouldn't work for me.
It didn't.
But it's like you have to have those. You got to choose something, and sometimes it's just choosing something relatively easy. And like I said, I have accountability partners, so that kind of helps us kind of hold ourselves down and hold ourselves accountable.
Yeah, I think what really helped me with habits was the book Atomic Habits. I want to say the author is James Clear, but that book, it really opened my eyes up to like habit forming behaviors and like how just thinking of a habit, like for me, if reading that 21 days of consistency becomes a habit, I'm like, okay, I'm on day 22. I actually don't know how to do that because I have a habit, and it would just all crumble. I need to just, make those small changes or connect it with something I already do. And then that, creates that habit of whatever I'm trying to do. So, are you reading anything right now?
I'm working on it. So
fair answer.
I just bought, I put it on my, I don't know where my iPad is. Oh, it's right here. I bought on my iPad The Big Leap because people have been talking about that. By that, so I'm going to start that. I have President Obama's book. So at some point I'm gonna start that if I don't start to get too like it's big. It's a long book. So, you look at a long book and like, ooh, am I gonna really finish that? Or to here. So I have that. And I did start reading Shoe Dog by the founder of Nike. And I still need to finish that, but I started reading that, and that was really interesting. I love stories about people, reading autobiographies, because I think it shows their perspective and what they were thinking at that particular time as they were going through things. So I think that's one of the biggest things for me.
Because you have a podcast, do you find it easier to do like audiobooks, or you still prefer to like read it, physically or on your iPad?
For to read.
Like read.
Because I don't listen to audiobooks all the time, especially now that I don't travel as much. So I'm kind of in and out, and sometimes like I watch YouTube videos, and sometimes I still listen to podcasts sometimes, but it's just making that time.
Absolutely. So I don't know if Instagram is going to be a hater and, cut the broadcast off.
Oh, yeah.
But I wanted to just get your like a last minute things in here. What is something that you would share to yourself, maybe just last year? Brenda last year, what would you say to her?
I would have told myself to keep going. I would have said, Brenda, keep going. Don't give up. I think I was just about to give up on my podcast and just be like, never mind. I'm not going to do this. But something told me, and it sounds like my son woke up, but it sounds, something told me, like, just keep going. So I think that's something I would have told myself, like, stop second guessing yourself. Just do it. Ask the person to be on the podcast. The worst they can say is no.
Absolutely. So just go for it. Great words of wisdom. Could you share where people can find your podcast? Where is your home on the internet? And any upcoming events or things you got going on?
Yes. So I am Mom's Hustle Different everywhere. So Mom's Hustle Different, momshustledifferent.com. You can find the podcast on Apple, Spotify, Google, and Amazon, I think now. So I'm really excited about that. And now I'm on Clubhouse at Mrs. Brenda Miller. And then I am starting up the podcast again in January and looking for new guests. So if you are a mom and you work, and especially if you're a Black mom and you work, hit me up. We might see if there's a space for you on the 2021 docket.
Ooh, I love that. Thank you so much, Brenda. I appreciate
Thank
your
you too.
time and you sharing just a little bit of your journey with us today. This was great. I enjoyed catching up with you.
I love it. I appreciate you so much for even having this conversation with me. I feel like I'm in the beginning of my journey, and I'm grateful that I have this to go back and look to, a year from now or 5 years from now and say, oh, wow, I remember when I did that. So I appreciate it so much.
Absolutely. And you're gonna tell yourself, keep going. Don't
Yes,
stop. Okay?
yes,
Don't give up. It's
yes.
right around the corner. All right?
Keep pushing nonstop, like my husband says.
Exactly. Thank you so much, Brenda.
Thank
And I will
you.
talk with you soon.
All right. Bye. Thank you.